Well, Ron DeSantis chose to pick a fight with Disney. A quick recap of the fight is he wanted to revoke a deal that Disney had made very, very long time ago, wherein Disney basically got to operate under its own rules, and the deal was extraordinarily favorable to the Florida government. But it prevented Ron DeSantis from doing things like bully Disney about, just being decent to trans people, forcing Disney to be abusive to trans people. Well, it would appear that Disney did something, I'm going to have to look at the technical term. I believe it's fuckery. They engaged in some fuckery. And it doesn't look like that deal's going to go through now. Or that revoking of the deal. Yeah. The point being, it looks like they got one over on Ron DeSantis. Let's check out NBC talking about it, NBC News. And they also bring up a good point, which is maybe not where you'd think this is going. But it's attend your local city council meetings. Here it is.
Welcome back. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis learned an important lesson this week. Don't mess with the mouse. The Walt Disney Corporation has come out on top, at least for now, in the ongoing power struggle between the company and DeSantis to control the previously independent area that houses Disney's parks in the state of Florida. A new document, first reported by the Orlando Sentinel, reveals that just weeks before the board DeSantis established to take control of the area came into power, Disney moved to limit that new board's control, unbeknownst to the governor and the board itself. And they did it, at the time, under perfectly legal ways to do it. The company also invoked a rare legal clause that makes the move valid in perpetuity or until 21 years after the death of the last living descendants of King Charles. For real. Yes, the king over there. The board said that they will challenge the document. The fight between Disney and DeSantis started over Disney's political activities, namely their support of the LGBTQ community.
Hold on. Correction, Chuck Todd. That's not political activity. That's just decency. It started because that prick chose to use the government to attack Americans. The fact that we haven't collectively gone to the governor's mansion, wherever the hell that is, kicked down the doors, dragged him to the nearest jail, and thrown him in there is a shame on us. And when I say we, I mean it's a shame on us for not having a law that says what he's done is illegal. We need to make one. But just to be clear, that wasn't Disney taking a political stance. That was Disney just treating people decently.
As DeSantis continues his push to curtail LGBTQ visibility. Our senior national politics reporter, who is based in Florida, Matt Dixon, joins me now. And Matt, like I said, it feels like a plot twist in Succession. You're like, Logan Roy did what?
Chuck Todd is just the most annoying little dweeb. I want to like him, too. I don't know why I want to like him, but I do. Maybe he's got a face that looks hopeful. But then he opens his mouth and does a Succession reference. I don't know, man. It keeps rubbing me the wrong way.
And I guess this is what happened here.
Thinking, is it a King Charles III themed Disney ride that we were talking about? There's a lot going on.
So walk me through. This happened, I think, 24 hours before the new board was put into place?
Yeah, it happened February 8th, and one of the strangest twists is it wasn't some secret meeting or some sort of private thing behind closed doors. It was done during a publicly noticed meeting that anyone could watch or attend. The Orlando Sentinel did a great job of getting some of those meeting documents. So this was a thing that kind of the governor's office just missed.
Okay. Right now, if you go on to your town's website, you will be able to pull up a list of minutes from the latest city council meetings, or town council meetings or whatever. And it tells you all the business they're up to. It also, on that website, will tell you when they're meeting next and what they'll be talking about in that meeting. Use that. All of this is interesting. I've got commentary on all of this. But the what you can do is serviced best right here. He just said something that is so revealing about how America works. And I'll tell you, I have been on the wall, so to speak, the watcher on the wall, whose job it was to find local news. And the way we did it most reliably was having a look at what city councils were up to and what press releases the police put out. And there would be times that I would know a city council meeting was happening, and I'd be like, but it's in this small town, and I know I said I was going to go look at it, but I'm tired and I'm not. And that would happen to be when no other news organization covered it either, because there's only so many in a town. And when you're in mid-Michigan, it ain't exactly New York City. So there's not an infinite number of reporters. And then, it would just go unnoticed. Case in point, one we nearly missed was a sudden surprise meeting that was being held when it was discovered that a school board president had been siphoning gas from the motor pool for years to take his family on road trips. He'd fill up his tank with the school's gas money beforehand. He finally got caught, and the police got called on him, and he had to sheepishly explain that he was a member of the school board to try to get out of it. And that didn't work. And thus, big scandal. But that story was nearly missed because just nobody goes to these things. Unless, of course, they're crazy Republican, crazy far-right people. So, go to your meetings. You will be shocked by how much influence a couple of voices have. We've talked about how much more influence you have at the state level. You are a political force in and of yourself at the town level. The town level where a couple of hundred votes decide, not even decide, a couple of dozen votes decide races. Sometimes 5 or 6 votes decide races. You think these people aren't going to do what you say if you say it calmly, persistently, and with passion? Yeah, they're going to do what you say. Go to your town meetings. Look at the schedule. If there is something that you have an opinion on, take 1-2 hours of your time to go to that meeting. If you want to come in late, come in late. You can see when they're going to talk about it. Treat it like going to a particularly boring movie. But it is important. Go there, speak to them. You literally just stand at a podium and you talk to 5 or 6 people. The city manager, the mayor, the city council. Talk to them.
That was one.
My point being, this was effing Disney. I'm going to cool it with the cursing. There's too much cursing. If you have to curse to make a point, pick a better word. This was the Disney Corporation butting heads with Ron DeSantis, a very popular, or at least a very well-known politician right now. And nobody noticed. Even Ron DeSantis didn't notice. Even his whole team didn't notice. And they did this out in the open. I'm just telling you, that is how appreciated these local meetings are. Which also means it's a lever of power that's not being touched, which we could grab hold of, and we must.
24 hours, one day before the House signed off on the DeSantis appointed board, sort of taking over what was the old Disney or Reedy Creek board. And it happened in plain sight. But here we are talking about King Charles III and sort of gubernatorial and Disney intrigue.
What do they think they can do from the government side of things here?
That isn't totally clear at the moment. We've certainly been asking, and we don't have a clear legal strategy as far as how the governor's office is going to kind of pursue this moving forward. Without question, they're going to. Governor DeSantis' sort of motto is never back down, never apologize, double down, and that we fully anticipate, and I think Disney does as well. But at this point, as far as the blueprint or how they're sort of signaling that they're going to push back on this, we're not quite sure. But it is definitely something to watch. I'm certain the DeSantis administration isn't just going to sort of let this slide.
Bottom line is they have just basically defanged this entire new board, correct? They are at this point a condo board.
Yeah, that's a very Florida way to put it.
Yeah.
But by the new board's own admission, some of the quotes from the Orlando Sentinel yesterday had board members essentially saying, well, Disney is the new board. We are, they didn't quite say that we are toothless, but functionally what they said during that meeting that we're talking about is we are now toothless because of this February 8th agreement that the old board signed before the legislature and DeSantis could sort of make these changes.
Matt, you know this administration pretty well. Is this hubris, naivete? What do you chalk it up to? How did they miss this?
I mean, it seems 6 one way, half a dozen another, in the sense that they're usually pretty good at this stuff, but we don't get any sense that they saw this coming, and it caught a lot of people off guard. And again, I'm gonna circle back to the point I made initially. This happened in a public meeting. This wasn't some secret thing in the C-suite at Disney that was done with no spotlight.
So, two things. First, I'm going to put forth a suggestion that it will totally contradict the second thing. But it's possible, so I just want to throw it out there. It is possible that DeSantis did see this. It did see this and simply chose not to react. Why? Because it was a terrible stunt that he pulled. It was done to impress folks. That's all. Gross people. But I mean, it was a terrible deal for Florida. And they were taking on a massive burden. Disney was paying for services that Florida would be required to provide instead over what he did. So having it essentially nullified might have been in his best interest, and he might have hoped that this just quietly happened and he got to get his political points and move on. That said, having been on the other side of this, even in my small way, I 100% can see how DeSantis's entire staff would have missed this. Because I tell you, these local meetings are just, they're so overlooked. Even though that's how the majority of rules that actually will affect your life are made, it's just stuff people don't think about. And by the way, when I said we must grab that lever of power, now that's not accurate, but we could. We could, and I think we must grab all the levers we can. Oh God, I hate Ron DeSantis so much. It's just everything about this guy is despicable, but let's keep it going.
All anyone really had to do, and the Orlando Sentinel decided to do it, was follow the agenda.
Now, you know what? Let's not keep it going. There's literally only so much DeSantis I can stand to look at. He's not even fun to make fun of. There's nothing about this guy that is even a little bit redeemable. So what can you do? You can attend your local city council meetings. It's very important. And as you just saw, even Ron DeSantis and his whole team, which picked a fight with Disney, miss these kinds of things. In your town, there are probably scandals galore that you were unaware of. There were probably rules made, backroom deals, etc., that you could be privy to, that you could be aware of, that you could fight against or control as you see fit if you attend the meetings. The rooms usually have a handful of people in them. Sometimes they're full, but they're full like a church gets full. You know, there's always a seat. Just remember, everything is local somewhere. In your town, interesting things probably happen. In your town, events you would probably want to affect, if you knew about them, happen from time to time. Make it a habit to go on your town's website, get familiar with when the city council meetings are, and once in a while, look at what they're going to talk about. By the way, you find yourself somewhat curious to get into politics. You think maybe you want to, but you wouldn't know where to begin. That's where you begin. Not even being in the city council. Not even being a clerk. Just attend the meetings. You literally see how it's done. Give it some thought.